Hello, my friend. I have a special invitation for you. I have a new, potent, concentrated group coaching program called Crucible. We begin on April 10th. You can go check out timewitchery.com/crucible, and I'm going to tell you all about it at the end of the show. So if you're interested, stay tuned.
Everything is not for everyone. Mm-hmm. And that's perfectly okay. You can have the things that are good for you, that work well for you, and live quite a happy, fulfilled life without having everything that everyone else has, you know? Like sometimes we just need those reality checks.
Yeah, just an embracing of individuality, which is so important in a world that wants to say, let me tell you what you need. It's like, you don't know what I need.
Welcome to Mind Witchery. I'm your host, Natalie Miller, and I'm so glad you're here.
Hello, my witchy friend. Oh my gosh. I'm beside myself. You need to know I'm beside myself because my guest today is kind of a big deal. She is a little bit famous. She's, you hear her laughing, but it's true. She is a little bit famous. I am joined here on Mind Witchery today by Kamili, otherwise known as Plant Blerd. Hello, Kamili.
Hello, hello, hello. So happy to be here. That's funny. I am not famous.
A little bit you are, though. A little bit you are.
Maybe it's in the very, very particular and specific niche on Instagram for plants. That's cute, though. I love it.
Well, I happen to be a proud member of that niche, and so
yes, I too. Yes,
to
exactly.
me, I am starstruck, and so I asked Kamili to come and join me today to talk about plant wisdom and also about what plants kind of teach us about care. And I just want to warn you all already, I have so many questions I want to ask Kamili, so many topics
Fire away.
of conversation. And, likely the convo is going to kind of meander around, but I'm so happy to invite you all along for the meandering. So Kamili, my first question is, over the pandemic times, I think many of us have seen a renewed interest or a sparked interest in houseplants, like in taking care of houseplants. Yeah. What do you think that's about?
Well, I think that it was primarily driven by being stuck at home, right? And you need something to do. Like there is only but so many hours that you want to spend on your sofa binging Netflix, right? So plants just provided the perfect distraction. And as they thrive, they really are such an incredible mood booster. And didn't we all need something that was like a happy space, a happy thing happening? Because, there was a point where it was so dire. And I'm in New Rochelle, New York, which was like ground zero in the state. We were the first ones to go on complete and total containment zone lockdown. Mm-hmm. And that was scary. Mm-hmm. So like plants provided a safe space, like sanctuary and a calm, like a salve. So I totally understand how everyone just was like, I need the plants.
Yeah, I want to dig into that a little bit because it's like, why, some people baked sourdough bread, some people, started sewing, but plants, there's something magical that happens.
Completely magical. It's just the idea that, at least for me personally, and I think that you would find a lot of people agreeing, you feel like you've got these superpowers. Here's this living thing. Mm-hmm. You bring it into your house out of its native environment, which is somewhere tropical and lush and beautiful. I live in the Northeastern, which is dry and cold and dark during the winter. You know, March is still winter for us, and that's when everything went on lockdown. And even despite those conditions, you're able to make this thing thrive. You know, you're able to get new growth and sometimes a bloom if you're lucky. And it just feels like, I don't know, it feels like a superpower, for lack of a better way to describe it. It just feels like, you know, I'm doing that. That's for me. I'm making this happen.
Yeah.
It's a little more satisfying than bread.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Well, also because, I mean, well, actually, I will say my partner did bake bread, and that does require its own attention.
That's true. That's true. But once you eat it, it's gone.
Yes. Well, and for me, the kind of attention that plants evoke is so sensitive,
Yes,
you know?
Absolutely.
We become so sensitive to, well, it's interesting, right? Like, what do plants need? They need water, and they need light, and they need maybe a little bit of food, and they need some kind of soil. And what I have found as I've become more and more and more of a plant mom is just an exquisite sensitivity to the variations among all of those different elements.
Yeah, for sure. And they will reflect back your mood. You know, when I'm happy and things are going great, my plants are looking great. When I'm feeling kind of like in a funk and not interested, my plants won't look great. So it becomes like this real like symbiotic relationship, right? And I always say, you'll hear me repeat it on lives or in my captions, plant care is self-care. Mm-hmm. When I am unplugging and checking in on my plants, I always feel like I'm really, you know, checking in on myself, because I grow plants entirely for my own pleasure. Like, it has nothing to do with being a wife, a mother, a designer. It's like no other hat except, you know, it's just a pure guilty pleasure. I just do this because I enjoy it for no other reason at all.
Or maybe not even guilty.
No, it's not guilty at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Just like the pleasure of, I don't know, like, I don't want to sound too grandiose, except probably I do. It's like I'm investing in life.
Exactly. That's exactly right, though.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like reconnecting with nature. I mean, it's just a beautiful thing. I feel like there's really no downside.
Yeah. You know, there's a beautiful essay by Alex Hardy. Do you know this essay? Alex Hardy wrote this essay, and it's called Deeply Rooted: What Plant Fatherhood Taught Me About Caring for Myself. Have you read this?
I know that title, but I have not read it.
The essay is kind of about how he gets kind of his first apartment after couch surfing and even being homeless for a while. And he gets his first apartment. And because his grandmother told him, you know, you can never have too many plants.
Right.
He fills this place with plants. And what he says, there's this one moment I want to quote. He says, "As I regain my footing and continue getting to know myself outside the lens of trauma and brokenness, the daily joys and routines of plant parenthood keep me rooted."
That is beautiful.
Oh, and this is the best. This is what reminded me of what you just said. "I marvel at how they react to and reflect love and neglect."
That is beautiful and very well stated.
Right? And it's that like react to and reflect. Like you said, if I'm not feeling good, if I'm not taking care of myself.
My plants show it. They do.
They do, right? Or if I'm not opening up my windows to let the light in.
Right.
Right? If I'm not attending to my environment, my plants totally let me know. They're like, hey, you're not present.
That's exactly right. And it just kind of like, you know, it will make you like check yourself. You know, you'll look over and like, oh my God, you know, that different Bacchia is not doing well. Girl, what's up? So you go in, you're checking on the plant, and it's quiet, right? Your phone is down unless you're creating content like sometimes I'm known to do. Or
unless you're feeding the gram.
Right,
the
unless
gram
you're
is
feeding
very
the
hungry.
gram, you know, the monster. But otherwise, I mean, even as much as I post, there's so much that doesn't end up there because this is real life. You know, it's not, I'm not doing this for Instagram. This existed. It predated my account. And, that just was kind of like a byproduct of having the plants. But that, this was all happening already. So in real life, I'm caring for these living beings, my green children, and they just give me so much.
I love how they're just like children. they're all different.
They are all different.
They all need different things.
Very different needs.
We have like harmony with some and dissonance with others. Like I can't grow a string of anything, Kamili. I cannot. Like string of turtles, string of hearts, string of dolphins. We don't.
What's up with that? That's the topic of today's discussion. I've seen on a lot of different. I guess because today's Trailing Tuesday, right? Oh, sorry. Do you want to pause on that? I know you podcasts like to be evergreen.
No, trailing. Everybody. We are recording this on Trailing Tuesday.
Okay, but it's like I hear that time and time again, and it's like some plants, we tend to want to just like really pour all of ourselves into them, right? But just like you said, they're all different. Some just don't need as much as others, and I find that the strings of things, they really want to just be left alone. They're really introverted, they're not social plants. They just, they want a little bit of water, lots of light, and then just to be left to their own devices.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And that would be why we don't get along, because I'm like, hi, how you doing?
That is a great point. And I am as, friendly and gregarious as I publicly appear. I'm quite introverted. So that's why I think we get on quite well, me and those strings of things.
Are there any plant categories that you have more trouble with?
Oh, God. All of the needier plants. I cannot, like the calatheas, the anthuriums. I just can't. I can't. I need my plants to be able to really adapt to my less is more kind of chill, Pisces, go with the flow vibe. Like, yes. If you're going to need more than that for me, it's probably not going to work out.
I love that.
I had like 20 calatheas in the beginning of this journey, right? I'm down to 4. And they are the last 4 that really don't need much from me at all.
Oh my gosh. I love it. And meanwhile, I'm over here like, well, my calatheas love their new humidifier number 4 of this year, because they yeah, I love that. And that's something important for our friends, because don't you get those people who are like, oh, I don't know how you do it. I don't have a green thumb. I'm terrible with plants. I kill plants. And I'm like, yeah, but like not all plants are the same.
No, not all plants are the same. And that's my response is always, you just haven't found the right one. I mean, it's like dating, right? Every single person that you're going to date is not going to end up being the person you marry or, spend the rest of your life with or whatever. So, you got to try a couple until you find the match.
Until you find the match, until you find the resonance.
Right.
And I think, like, for me, when I think about what I learn from my plants, that's kind of part of it, right? Is that, I'll say, Kamili, something I talk about on this show a lot is how we all have many sides to ourselves, right? So here you are, you're Kamili Plant Blerd, you are introverted, and at the same time, you're very upfront and very generous with sharing kind of the, a view of your plant life. So there's more than one Kamili, right?
Yeah.
There are several different ones.
There are.
Yeah. And for me, like, plants actually remind me of that.
Right.
That there are different parts of me that need different things.
That's so true. Right. We're multifaceted, and we have different needs, and we'll switch up, right? You're not the same person every single day.
Right.
Tuesdays, maybe I'll want the needy plant. Maybe I'll feel like I want to rise to that challenge. And then by Friday, I'm like, now tried that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back over here.
Yeah. Or it's like I can explore that part of myself. Like now that you've kind of talked about, like, how, no, listen, strings of things, they just don't want so much love from you. I'm like,
Right.
oh,
They
I would
don't.
like to practice giving less love, actually. Like that would probably be a balancing practice for me. And it makes me want to try it out.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And, you just learn a lot about yourself. It just makes you realize and kind of really makes it tangible. Everything is not for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's perfectly okay. You can have the things that are good for you, that work well for you, and live quite a happy, fulfilled life without having everything that everyone else has, Like sometimes we just need those reality checks.
Yeah, just an embracing of individuality, which is so important in a world that wants to say, let me tell you what you need. It's like, you don't know what I need.
Exactly. And embracing what you have, right? It's like, the same would go for people whose collections are made up entirely of common plants. Those are beautiful collections. You don't have to chase unicorn plants, rare, and they're not even rare. They're just commercially rare, which is different. They're not actually rare. You can't call a plant rare if there's a greenhouse full of it and it just costs a lot of money. That's not, how we define rare, but just find satisfaction. Being satisfied is not settling. It's your needs are actually met, so you're satisfied. Be satisfied.
Yeah.
So it helps you. I find that they kind of like teach you that too,
Yeah. It's almost in figuring out what makes the plant happy. Is it this window or is it this window? Do you need filtered water? My calatheas need filtered water. Do you need filtered water, or are you okay? Are you okay with tap water? Now, the weather's changed. What do you need now? It's that kind of, again, that sort of like, hey, be present, notice your needs, and tend to them.
Right.
So what made you actually start that Instagram?
So, I think that my origin story is probably the same as everyone's in terms of, the account background. My non-plant friends and family members were tired of hearing about my plants. So one day I just was like, you know what? I want to start an account dedicated to plants, and maybe I'll find some other like-minded people. That was purely like the goal. I just thought maybe there had to be a few others out there. I never in my wildest dreams thought that it would lead to this. I didn't know that there was this whole giant online community with plants. I had no idea. And it's like, where have they been all my life?
Yeah.
So it's just been like such an incredibly happy discovery. I've made like genuine connections and real friends. I always thought it was so weird when people would make friends online, and it's like, no, it's not weird at all. It's actually really great.
100% agree. And maybe that's my kind of resonant nerdiness, but like if we can talk about something we have in common,
right,
that is going to be so much easier for me than like socializing in a
the common. It's like we already know that we have this in common, right?
Yes.
And
yes. No.
Who of us could not just talk about plants for hours?
Yeah.
So it's a really great and easy way to connect. But what I also love about it is there's so many overlaps, like within that plant community, then we have, my fellow Harry Potter geeks, my Star Wars nerds. So there's like all these different like kind of common layers, and it's just been amazing.
It's beautiful. Well, I have to say, one thing that I find that you are especially skilled in, Kamili, is fostering a conversation. Like,
oh, thank you.
You know what I mean? Though some people show up on the gram to be like, don't you wish you were hot like me?
Right.
Right? Even in the plant community, some people are like, don't you wish?
Yeah. We are not above that. Yeah.
No. And listen, again, I embrace individuality, and I think that is beautiful. But something that you do that I really appreciate and love is you show up and you're like, hey, my plants are making me think about this topic. what do you think about this topic?
Exactly.
And then a gorgeous conversation ensues.
Yes. Well, that's like the best thing, because it's like, it's community, you know, and it's like, let's get to know each other. Let's have fun chats. Sometimes they'll be serious, but, you know, let's engage. Let's really engage, not just like hit likes on each other's posts. Let's really kind of like dig into it.
And have a conversation. Yeah, I love it.
And have a conversation.
I love it. It's so beautiful. You're also super educational. Like, I have learned so much about plants, about plant care in your posts. It's just, I super appreciate that as well. So was that something that you wanted to do, or is that something that you've noticed people like? Like, how did you start offering more education?
Well, you know, it's interesting. I really try to kind of like walk a thin line with that and be very careful, because there are no hard and fast rules when it comes to plant care, right? And what works for me and my house in my specific environment might not work for you in your house, your environment, where you live, the plants that you're keeping. So I just kind of like try to dole out what I'm doing. Give it a try, see if it works. If it doesn't, try something else. And I just really encourage everyone to just kind of like do the trial and error, and don't be afraid to kill plants, like learn that way on their own. I don't ever want to hold out myself as some expert. I don't want people to think of me as an expert, because I'm over here killing plants too. So it's like, you know, you're seeing the nice healthy ones. You didn't see the one that I just dropped into the trash.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. That makes me think of this. I was watching a Plantarina video once. Did you ever watch her videos?
Occasionally.
Yeah. She just was once recording this video, and she was like, oh, there's fungus gnats. And I was like, yes, Plantarina has fungus gnats. Like, hallelujah.
Exactly. We're all just learning as we go. And there are some accounts, and they have these hard and fast rules. Well, that doesn't work. Well, it does. So it might not work for you.
Yeah.
But it does work for me. So
yes.
Even when I'm like giving information, it's really just kind of like letting you know what I'm doing and kind of like suggestions, but never with the intent that this is what you should be doing, because there's so many different ways to grow plants.
Well, and there's that celebration of individuality again, right? Which I really love, like that, or individuality, and also all of the variables that go into being a human, right? Being a human, having a certain kind of plant, right? Like that, no, actually, like you and I can resonate and we can connect. And also we don't actually live the same life. Like, we live differently, and we have different homes and different tendencies and all of the things. So yes, we have very similar core needs, but we're not all the same. You and me and plants.
Exactly. Yep. There are no bright, hard rules.
Yes.
I mean, the only rule is plants need light. They need light. They need water. Beyond that, you're going to find different ways to kind of get the job done.
You know, you were talking a little bit about discovering this whole plant community. And I had that too, but actually and I want to give them some love, in a Facebook group. I'm a member of this Facebook group called DC Plant Swaps and Trades.
Okay.
And I have to tell you, I have grown my collection in there. You know how sometimes you'll buy a plant at the hardware store and it'll say like assorted foliage.
Yeah.
And you're like,
plant. That's the one that I really love.
Exactly. You're like, what are you? So you can go in the group with a picture and people are like, oh yeah, that's what this is. Like, they'll ID it for you. Tons of advice around care, around pests, around like when to repot, and, you know, all of those kinds of things. And it is the most generous, like lovely community of people. And yes, we're talking about plants, kind of like on your Instagram page. Yeah, we're talking about plants, but we're also we're being humans in community in a very beautiful, generous way.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, completely. And the local groups are great, but I have found that on Facebook, because after I started my Instagram, then I checked out some of the Facebook groups, and they were like general ones, like, houseplant addicts, and that weren't like specific to any area. And somehow fights would always break out in those groups because of exactly what I would say, what I'm talking about previously about the rules of what to do. Sometimes people get so kind of like entrenched in their way of doing things.
Yeah.
And then when someone else would suggest, well, this is how I do it. And it's like, that's so silly.
That makes me feel really extra fortunate.
Yeah.
Because, when you wrote a post, maybe a couple months ago where and I'm going to quote you now, Kamili, you said, it's plant people. It's not a race. It's a creed. Yeah. You know the one I'm talking about?
I do know that one.
Okay. So here's what you said. You said, plant people know that Black Lives Matter. Love is love. Ain't no such thing as an illegal human. Gender is fluid. Climate change is real. And they're anti-racist as fuck.
Yeah.
If none or only some of this applies to you, then you are not a plant person. Rather, you are just a person who has plants.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I have to say my community, my plant community is full of plant people, capital P's. And I'm so grateful for that.
Right. Right. Because there are some people, going back to the unicorn plants, there are some people who are just like in it for status and show. And it's just, that's just.
So you found that in Instagram, and like, where else have you found that? Like, where have you found this beautiful, like these pockets of capital P plant people?
Well, the plant people I found on Instagram, but my real people who I surround myself in real life, we live by that creed also. So, and slowly I am turning them into plant people.
Yes.
At every opportunity, I give them a plant.
Yes, me too. I am slowly. People will send me like a little shot, a little photo, like, look what I got. Yeah. I'm like, yes, yeah, I know, I love it.
I've totally plant influenced many people who had previously said, "Oh, I can't grow plants." Oh, yeah, sure you can. Here, let me help you.
Yeah. Well, it's this beautiful thing, right? Where it's sort of like, we're like, hi, we celebrate individuality. We want to be present and sensitive. We want to invite life into our worlds. We want to care for and tend like these plant beings. So yeah, it makes sense that for many of us, those values, that creed is kind of how we roll.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's important, like, kind of like just rules to live by. Now, in that regard, those are the rules. You do live by those rules.
Some beautiful things have happened in my plant community. Like we had this really fun Juneteenth exchange where white group members were giving plants to Black group members, just like here.
That's great.
Like plant reparations, really, which was so sweet. There have been people who have had like financial emergencies where they've had to like pay a medical bill or buy a plane ticket. And they're like, okay, I'm going to like sell a bunch of my collection. And other members in the group will come in and they'll be like, here, buy this Monstera and Venmo her and then send me the receipt and you can pick up the plant. It's just so beautiful. Like I can't tell you how heartwarming. So plant friends out there, if you don't have a plant community like that, start one because they are.
Start one.
They're so
That's
good.
Exactly right. Because you start it and they will come, right?
You start it and they will come. Yeah, absolutely.
Because if you're out there looking for that person that you're looking for is looking for you too.
They are. And, like social media gets, I think, rightfully criticized a lot for like its shallowness and the way that, we know that by design it fosters like dissent in some ways, but there are some beautiful ways to use it, like the way that you use Instagram in this generous, like educational, thought-provoking way. And then in ways like, these kinds of groups where like real connection happens. Like these are not internet friends. Like they become life friends.
Right. These are like, they've become friends that I would have in my house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like they're people that I genuinely like. I know they're good people. We've talked, you know, for hours, and there are pockets of like literal fresh air on social media if you look for them.
And then like feed them, right? Like just like our plants. Like,
just like the plants. Exactly.
Yeah. When you find them, visit them and contribute in those conversations. Ask questions, all the things. Yeah. All right. So Kamili, I thought one thing we could do is give a little bit of, I don't love that word advice, but a little bit of guidance to different kinds of plant sort of people. So there's our very, very, very beginners.
Yeah.
Or even actually before that, let's say the people who are convinced that they can't parent plants. And so you kind of already said, just get some plants.
Right.
And kill some plants, but figure it out.
Figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
There's no such thing as a green thumb. Like you just learn. It just takes time, care, and attention. And there are some plants, not that you can't kill them, because I just this very week killed a snake plant. You can, but it really takes some doing, you know?
It really is,
They are so forgiving. So like start with the plants that have that reputation for loyalty, like ZZ plants, snake plants, pothos.
Yes.
And build your confidence with them, you know?
Yes.
Just start there. Don't dive into, I don't know, you know, a Monstera, Albo variegata. Don't go there. Just because you see it on Instagram and it's pretty, don't let that be the starting place.
Yes, totally agree. Totally agree. Yeah, I think like, a pothos or a snake plant or a ZZ, friends, that is a great beginning because they are loyal.
They're loyal and they're absolutely beautiful.
They are beautiful.
I have, let's see, let me count on my hands here. I have, I think 6 ZZ plants. I love them. They are just, I love the green ones. I love the raven. I mean, you can't go wrong. You just can't.
No, they are. They're so beautiful. They're
so beautiful.
Is it fair to say, Kamili, they are the Hufflepuffs of plants?
They are the Hufflepuffs of plants.
They're like, hey, I'm here. I'm here for you.
They are loyal and noble. Yes.
Okay, I love that. Yeah. So then how about...
So then who would be the Slytherin of plants?
I know, the Slytherin of plants.
I'm going to have to say they're the Calathea. I'm going to have to say it.
They're like entitled. They are entitled as fuck, Calathea.
They are.
They're like...
They are. And even some of the Alocasia, because they are spider mite holes. Only evil. And I'm a Slytherin. I am a Slytherin.
I love it.
But I know there are some of us who live that reputation. We are bad. We are bad. And I love Alocasia.
Yeah, I'm even thinking with Calatheas, you know, how Calatheas, like, they change their look. They're like, you don't even know me.
Yeah.
You don't know me.
Right.
I'm like, I'm open, I'm closed. They're very magical.
They also love spider mites.
Yeah.
Huh.
And fungus gnats, actually. Fungus gnats are
because you got to keep them so moist. And mealybugs. I mean, it was just a bad combination all around.
I know, but they're so compelling.
They are so beautiful.
They're so compelling. They're so gorgeous.
They are gorgeous. Gosh. Right now, I still have a fasciata, a rattlesnake, a peacock, and I always mispronounce the name. I think it's Mayacona and a corona. Those are the last 4 standing.
Oh, they're so pretty though. Yeah, I have a rattlesnake that I love who she was happy enough that I was able to divide her into 2, which was amazing.
That is, because I wouldn't dare. I tried that with my white fusion. It died immediately.
It was like you chose poorly.
Yes, exactly. The force was not with me. It died immediately.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so how about for our plant like beginners? So people who like they're not convinced that they can't have plants, but they're excited to try. Like they're
excited to try. So now they've grown a couple of ZZs. They've had some success with snakes, so they're feeling confident and sure. So then I would say move on to the Monstera deliciosa. I think that the green, just the dark green solid.
Yes.
She's a grower. She's a shower. She's loyal, gorgeous.
Yes.
Anything in the Aglaonema family, any Chinese evergreen, also super loyal, super easy. And I mean, the amount of variety available in the philodendron family is,
oh my gosh,
you know, you can hardly go wrong.
Well, that's what I was going to say, those because philo, right, like philo, sopher, philo, like it's lover, right? And so I think philodendrons are just so...
Yeah, they're great.
They're great. And there is a huge variety. You can get like a Prince of Orange, which is like, what? It's brand new leaves come out orange.
Yes, the Brazils. I love the Brazils. Look like watercolor paintings, each leaf. They're just...
Listen, I have a Brazil hanging in my dining room window right now. And I'm not even kidding. Every time I go in there, I'm like,
blown away, right?
My breath is taken away by this plant. It's so beautiful. And it's funny, actually, sweet listener, when I was like enticing Kamili to come on the podcast, I was like, we could talk about like what Harry Potter characters would be if they were plants. And I actually think this plant reminds me of Hermione Granger. This plant is so Hermione Granger. She's got that like flame, but she's also kind of trusty, right? Like she's not really a drama queen. She's not.
No, not a drama queen at all.
No, she's
not at all.
No, she's trusty. And yes, she's a little dramatic, but it's not it's like in an inherent way.
In a totally harmless way.
Yes.
You know, and even plants that, you know, when people say they're dramatic, I'm like, are they dramatic? Are they just communicating?
Right.
You know, like when the peace lily goes all weepy.
That's exactly who I was thinking.
You know, it's just letting you know it's thirsty.
Yes. Yeah, she is. She's just thirsty. And probably P.S. you're thirsty too.
Right. Exactly.
She's like, have we had water? And you're like, no, we haven't actually. You haven't and I haven't. Yeah. Okay, so how about for the people who, they like plants. They're like, oh, yeah, I have like a little collection. What's next for them?
I would say that if they only have aeroids, to move on to Hoyas.
Hoyas, yes.
Hoyas.
Oh my gosh.
Move on to the Hoyas. Add some Hoyas in your life. You will never look back.
They are so beautiful. I also wonder, Kamili, if... once you kind of have a little collection going, it might be time to play with propagation.
Oh, for sure.
Because if you really want to feel like a wizard, like a witch or a wizard, just do some plant propagating and
I mean, you should literally always be propagating. Every time you get a new plant, you should be taking a piece of that plant as insurance in case the mama plant should, for whatever reason, not survive.
Okay, that right there is a pro tip. I do not do that, and that is smart as fuck. Like that is so...
Always.
Yeah.
Always. There's literally always something here rooting. In every corner.
Oh, no, for me too. I mean, I had to start hanging them from the windows because the windowsills are like, we're full.
Right. Yep. Everywhere, every type of plant, you know. The only plant that has never been cut in my entire collection, I believe, it's my green Monstera deliciosa. And I have such affection for that plant. I don't know. I just haven't been able to bring myself to cut her. And she really has like outgrown all of the space here, no matter how many times I've staked it. You know, no matter where I put it, I mean, she's huge. I just can't do it. I can't. But everything else, you know, I've taken little snips of it and have rooted it, and there are multiples everywhere.
Yes, multiples, and then giveaways, right? I love to give plants as gifts. That's maybe another thing to do is spread the gospel.
Yes, spread the gospel. And it's like, you know, people, I often hear, I don't believe in them. But if you're one to say, okay, no new plants, you're on a plant ban or there's a moratorium, an easy way around that is just to propagate.
Yes.
Like,
100%.
you can't buy any new plants, but no one said that you couldn't clone a few new plants.
That is so good. We're like zigzagging here, but I can't stop thinking, who are the Gryffindor of plants?
That's a hard question for me as a Slytherin because I have a love-hate relationship with that house, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that the Gryffindors of plants are probably the Dieffenbachia and even maybe the Alocasium. You know, I'll take them out of the Slytherin house. They give everyone the perception that they're so good and they're so, you know, such loyal fans,
Mm-hmm.
but they host spider mites all of the time. When you least expect it, you turn around and they are covered in webs. And what's worse is the alocasia will, with every new leaf, drop an old one.
Yes.
They're just not as good as they want to make everyone think that they are. They're just as dark as the rest of us.
Mm-hmm. Just as dark as the rest of us. Oh my gosh, Kamili, I feel like now I know you. That I was like, I definitely feel that. And I have to tell you, I have some Gryffindor. I think I am a Gryffindor, but I try to be a conscientious one. I don't try to harry around.
My youngest is a Gryffindor, so I mean I know there's some good ones.
There are some good ones. We just have to be careful. We have to be careful with ourselves.
Yes. And that quest for, to be a hero, sometimes, you just need to be brought down a little bit.
Or, yeah, it's like sometimes you need to just check yourself.
Yes. You get sort of lost, you lose sight of the mission and,
Yes, in the glory.
Yes, in the glory.
It's true. It's totally true. So for the people who are listening, who are like the ones in the plant community who have the advice to give, the ones who have these big, beautiful collections, the ones who can rehab anything and grow stuff from a chunk. And like for those people, I have to say, like, those are above my sort of station for sure. Those folks. But like, what do you want to say to them?
I want to say to them, don't gatekeep. Like, I do sometimes feel like once, they've acquired certain specimens and a certain Instagram status, don't gatekeep. And also, do not be a part of a little bit of a problem that I see, like, seeping into the community, like with plant flipping and some of the prices are just like, they're a little bit outrageous right now. It's like, don't allow that ugly, like, underbelly of capitalism to kind of come in and corrupt the plant community. Don't, like, our plants are not for profit. And I don't know, I kind of hate that. I hate that aspect of it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's such an interesting kind of line, right? Because on the one hand, it's sort of like we should value plants. And I mean this in terms of like food. If I go into the store, I know I'm going to pay way more for a fish than I'm going to pay for organic strawberries. And that's kind of a problem because I know that those organic strawberries were picked by people who are working in, exploitative conditions.
Exactly. I mean, that's the whole other side of it. It's like when you see some of these plant shops that are in gentrified areas here in New York and you're charging thousands of dollars for plants and the people who, I don't know, there's just something that just is inherently wrong about that for me. And especially when you consider where they're coming from, the plants themselves, where they've been imported from. They're being imported from communities of color, indigenous people are harvesting the plants. They're sending them and they're not seeing any of that money that is then made over here. I don't know. I saw in a Facebook group the other day, someone posted I'm feeling bored. Show me what you have. My budget is 20,000. Really? For plants?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. No, I love that point though. I think, Kamili, like that's really the thing, right? It's like, it's not that plants aren't valuable and expertise isn't valuable.
Right.
It's like, what's the world we are creating together?
Exactly. What is the end goal? Like $20,000? So that is just profiteering, like that. There's nothing good about that. And where's the good in someone selling a plant for $20,000? It didn't cost, I don't know. I have a lot of feelings surrounding that, and none of them good.
Yeah.
And so I really steer clear. And I mean, I have some unicorns. I'm not saying don't get, because I mean, we love plants. I have all of the monsteras, I think, except for an Oreo and a Sport. I'm not interested in those, but I do have the Albo. I have the Thai, which I won in a giveaway. But I try to find small sellers who they're just looking to make a reasonable amount of money. They're not, it's not turning into this kind of elitism. I'm not grudging anyone from making money, but when you're creating this whole atmosphere of now we have class amongst plants, that's ridiculous.
Yes, totally. And that, one thing that I've really appreciated in my plant community is swaps.
Right.
And, and
that's how I got my pink princess, right? In a trade.
Yeah. In a trade, in a swap, in a giveaway that we, I just went to a swap the other day, and there was this raffle with rare plants, and all the proceeds were going to a charity that supports LGBTQ work, like very, very cool. And so it's like, yeah, that's the world we want to build and live in. Right.
Right. Exactly.
So let's do that. Yeah. Kamili, I think, in that article I quoted Alex Hardy's article, he said, he remembers his grandmother saying, you can never have too many plants. I remember my grandmother's jade plant. I can see it. Like, I can see her philodendron hanging in the window. I can see her jade plant sitting in the dining room. I'm curious if for you, there's something with plants and legacy, inheritance. Like, what does that conjure for you?
Well, there definitely is some of that because, Black people, we are growers. That is why we were kidnapped from our home and brought here. If we're going to go all the way back like that. So I do feel like it's kind of in our DNA. We know how to grow things. And my grandmother was a grower. Her grandmother was a grower, her mom. And it's just been passed down generationally, I feel. I cannot remember any time in my life where plants weren't there. Where someone wasn't growing something. So it definitely is legacy. There is a connection to the past and something I hope to pass on to my kids. They're not interested yet, but, I'm not giving up hope. So there definitely is a deeper connection to the act and art of growing for me. And I think probably for a lot of other Black growers.
And there's something really, I don't know, beautiful, poignant about taking a power.
Right.
A power that has been so horribly exploited, and then turning it to joy and to pleasure.
Absolutely.
And to building plant people community who live by the creed.
Right. I agree. It's revolutionary, especially if you grow food. Now, I have not gone into that, but it's all really kind of like taking something back, and just kind of like reshaping what our connection to it was and reclaiming it.
It's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. So, my sweet listener, that and much, much more is why you totally want to follow Kamili's Plant Blerd account on Instagram. She always is looking at plants from all kinds of beautiful, evocative, educational, and then just fun and joyous angles. Kamili, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Please tell my sweet listener how they can be in touch with you, how they can find you.
They can find me always on Plant Blerd on Instagram, and they can also check out my curated page on Black People with Plants. And I recently launched a website, plantblerd.com, so you can find me in all those different places.
Oh my gosh. And Black People with Plants it's hot, Kamili. It's a sexy account. I'm always like, whew, okay. Beautiful people and beautiful plants is very lush.
Beautiful people and beautiful plants, exactly.
And everybody on plantblerd.com, you will find merch. Merch to die for.
All your plant nerd needs.
All your plant nerd needs. I love it so much. Kamili, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Natalie. This was great.
Oh, my pleasure. All right. Okay, listener, bye for now. Thank you for listening to this episode of Mind Witchery. To catch all the magic I'm offering, please subscribe to the show. Or if you want a little bit of weekly witchiness in your inbox, sign up for my Sunday letter at mindwitchery.com. If today's episode made you think of a friend or loved one, your sister, your neighbor, please tell them about it. We need more magic makers in this troubled world. Like all good things, this podcast is co-created by stellar people. Our music is by fabulous DJ, artist, and producer Shammy D. Our gorgeous art is by the sorcerers at New Moon Creative. Mind Witchery is produced in conjunction with Particulate Media, K.O. Myers, executive producer. And I am Natalie Miller. Till next time.
Hello. As promised, here is a little bit of info about my new group coaching program called Crucible. You know what a crucible is? A crucible is a container in which transformation occurs. It's a strong container, basically like where you melt down metals so that you can make new things. You can make alloys. And my program is called Crucible because it is designed to give you a space where you can summon the courage, the inspiration, the momentum that you need to finally take action on, to finally manifest that thing that you have been wanting to do. And what is that thing? I don't know. That thing might be a new offer if you are an entrepreneur. That thing might be the idea for the book that's been swirling around in your head. It might be an outline for that book. It might be a whole short story. That thing might be a job description for the assistant that you've been wanting to hire. That thing might be your own podcast. Whatever that thing is that you keep thinking, oh, someday I'd really love to make this happen. Crucible says, let's do it now and let's do it together. So Crucible offers 7 weeks of group coaching. Crucible offers insight into how it is exactly that I take an idea and make it real. Right? Now, this is not about me kind of imposing my method onto you, but it is about sparking your own creativity and insisting on a self-honoring way of creating. Yeah? Crucible is about community with other people who are also making it happen. And I cannot even begin to put into words how valuable that is. How much of a difference it makes to be surrounded by other people who are expanding and growing into what's next. Crucible is in large measure about helping you to claim the time and energy that you need to create what's next. And so we'll use my anti-planner, Time Witchery, to do that. We will use co-working sessions that are hosted by Flow Club. I'm very excited about that part in particular. So Crucible is not assuming that you have the willpower and courage and time and energy to make this thing happen. In fact, Crucible says, oh yeah, let's give you a place to generate that, to generate all that you need in order to manifest what it is that you want next. So you are invited. You can go check out Crucible at timewitchery.com/crucible. We begin on April 10th. We go through April and most of May, and then we get to take off for the summer, having finally taken action on that thing that you've been toying with, flirting with, wondering about, dreaming about for so long. So again, more details at timewitchery.com/crucible. I super hope you will meet me inside.